Today on the show, we kick off our celebration of Star Trek's 50th anniversary by talking about all the movies, how Star Trek started, and where it's going. This is Nerdy Pop. What are you doing?
I signed it all in Romulan.
Oh, welcome to Nerdy Pop.
Go. I'm just
Rob's ready. Rob's ready, man. As you can probably tell, this week we are talking about Star Trek. It's the Star Trek 50th anniversary, and so this week we'll have a bunch of Star Trek themed things going on. Rob will be singing the theme the entire time we're talking.
Come on, man. That's my childhood. Every day
It's
a week.
good.
When I was a young whippersnapper,
Yep.
it was stripped 7 days a week. Star Trek, 5 o'clock every night. Don't bother me. I'm watching Star Trek. And if it didn't feature Sulu, I was bummed.
Really?
Yeah,
that was your thing?
He was my favorite. Like, why can't Sulu? When your first episode, he's doing karate.
Yeah.
You go, you don't do karate every episode?
With the fencing?
We're way ahead. Yes, I'm way ahead of you.
Well,
Sorry.
before we jump into Star Trek, you can look around. We've added some Star Trek things to the set this week. I brought in my lunch pail and my
Mondo print.
That was from when we went to see.
Oh crap! That's Into
That's
Darkness.
when we went to see Into Darkness.
Yeah.
We got those together.
And that
actually.
glows in the dark, kids.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then that
I
one down
glowed
there.
mine in the dark.
Can you grab that one that's on the floor there? Can you get that there? Your wife actually.
Yeah,
got
I'm trying to
this
make
for
Star Trek
me.
sounds.
Your wife got this for me at Comic-Con this year.
Because she likes you, Matt.
She was walking by, they were handing them out, and she goes, I gotta get that from Matt Barnes.
Isn't that nice?
So your
she
wife's
didn't get
awesome.
me anything.
And
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Joy. This is very nice. I'm
It's
glad
beautiful.
you got this from Matt.
Isn't it great? Limited edition kind of thing there.
That's really nice.
I love that. I'm gonna slide that off there.
Okay.
But we got our pops and our things, and I got all my Star Trek comics. And
got
then
Star Trek on the brain.
Then the funniest one to me is somebody gave us this. My brother Jody gave us this for our wedding. These are Star
my
Trek
gosh.
salt and pepper shakers right here.
Oh, that's great.
So Stacey refuses to let us use them in the house though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, can you hang that picture in the house?
Yeah, maybe we could.
Is Star Trek just kind of a garage thing now? It's like, none in the house, Matt. No Star Trek.
So Star Trek has been around for 50 years,
50
and we're celebrating
years.
that this year, which is incredible. I mean, for anything, whether you like it or not, that is an impressive
100
feat.
shows. How many franchises? How many?
So many. 6, I think, 5, 6. I mean, it's just incredible. All the movies, all the things. Started as a show back in the 60s that lasted 3 seasons and got canceled.
Yeah.
And somehow has still become this.
And little boys in the
massive
70s named Robbie.
Yep.
And his buddies all would pile in and watch it. I mean,
Yeah.
it was like, again, it was such a fun show to watch. Always new adventure.
Yeah.
Some like City on the Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh,
What's it
yeah.
called? Is that what
Yeah,
it's called?
yeah.
The Harlan Ellison episode?
Yeah.
Some stuff really brilliant, science fiction at its highest.
Yes.
And then there's the Tribbles.
Yeah.
The Trouble with Tribbles.
And Spock's brain, the goofy
Spock's
fun.
brain. And there's the ooze monster.
Oh yeah.
What's that
looks
episode?
like what is
Spock
that?
mind melds with it. It's like the
Yes!
lava beast. And did you go around trying to Vulcan pinch people? I did.
I might
I was
have.
like, I'm going to knock you out now.
I did.
that
I
didn't
mean,
work.
I did.
Oh, that didn't work.
This is what made me become a nerd. Was Star Trek. I'm
great.
a little younger than you.
A lot younger.
Next Generation was my thing, but I found Star Trek actually through Star Trek 4. And before Star Trek 4 on the VHS, there was an ad for the upcoming new show, Next Generation.
Yeah.
And I was just in, and it was like then one thing after another. I found the movies, and I just kept going with it. And it's really what made me introduced me to comic books. My first comics were Star Trek comics.
Next Generation, people forget what a giant deal that was. That they're doing a new Star Trek show. Because it had gone, I mean, I'm telling you, Matt, 1979, all the advertising leading up to Star Trek, the motion picture.
Yeah.
And kids my age who were raised on Star Wars, looked at all the advertising for Star Trek, the motion picture, and you're like, wow, this is expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, it looked from the ads like it was so slick. I have since grown to really appreciate the motion picture, but it is not as exciting as you would hope it would have been.
Right. And I think that's why initially there's that letdown. But if you watch it more and more, there are things there to appreciate.
It's a smart movie,
Yeah.
and it's great looking, and it's fun to see the cast up. But really, I do believe that Star Trek was saved by Nicholas Meyer and The Wrath of Khan.
Yeah.
That movie, I mean, Matt, I can remember as clear as day going to see that film.
Well,
And,
this
whoa,
weekend they showed they had a 50th anniversary kind of documentary on History Channel,
which I have not seen. Matt has seen.
which was great. I mean, a lot of things that we already knew, but a few little tidbits. And some of the things that they highlighted. One was that Lucille Ball, who owned Desi Lou Productions, she saved Star Trek. She actually, they pointed out, she invented the idea of the rerun for her show, I Love Lucy,
Yep.
and was like, I see that for Star Trek, and put it into reruns, and that's really what, in the end, saved it. She was a big Star Trek fan. But then also, with Star Trek 2, Leonard Nimoy, in his last interview ever, was talking about the fact that he signed up for that, said, I'll only do it if Spock dies, because he just thought, that's it. One didn't do so well. We're lucky we're getting this last
awesome.
chance.
I didn't know that.
And he said halfway through filming, he's like, this is actually going to be a good movie.
Yeah.
I got to find a way out of this. And so they improvised that remember thing where he does the mind meld with McCoy. And Nicholas Meyer didn't even know they were going to do. And that's how they got Star Trek 3 and kept going with it forever.
Wrath of Khan. What is the game that Kirk beats the
Kobayashi Maru?
Kobayashi Maru. I mean, from the beginning of the movie, when they established the Kobayashi Maru to Khan's return, because again, in reruns, I had seen the Khan episode multiple times.
Yeah.
But I now knew Khan as Mr. Rourke on Fantasy Island because I'm a kid of the 70s.
Right.
And then to see him as this kind of barbaric looking new version of Khan. But again, that movie just has everything. It's what we talk about all the time. It moves fast.
Yes.
There's no fat on
There
Wrath of
really
Khan.
isn't.
It's a lean, mean, moving machine.
Yep.
Great cast. They build up Kirk's legacy.
Yeah.
They give him a son.
Yep.
I mean, it's just a great movie. It really is, and I think that reignited the we can do this.
Yeah.
Like this movie, it was a big hit. I saw it with my buddy John Trin. He was my little buddy that read comics with me, and his dad drove us to the theater, and oh my gosh, blown away. And then again, so you said you came into it with 4?
With 4.
The Voyage Home.
We had 3, which was Search for Spock, to kind of bring Spock back in. And it was kind of fun and campy and whatever, but I always enjoyed it. But 4 was, until JJ came along, 4 was the biggest successful Star Trek ever. And the villain in Star Trek 4, of course, was mankind.
Yes.
As we were killing the whales.
It was real. Yeah,
but somehow they made that work.
It's a comedy.
Yeah.
You could really see the seeds to, it shares, it was being filmed at the same time that Back to the Future was out.
Yes.
And they're both time travel adventures.
Yes.
And they're kind of, they share similar qualities because it's a really smart but funny movie.
And
the fact of them walking around in modern day 80s San Francisco.
Right.
Is great.
And originally was written to be an Eddie Murphy thing. He was going to be the main character when they went to the past.
That's right.
And then Paramount didn't want to share him because they had Beverly Hills Cop.
Yep.
And so they brought in Nick Meyer again, and who did too, and said, why don't you write the space stuff and somebody else can write he wrote the Earth stuff and they wrote the space stuff. Harv Bennett did, and that's how it came about.
And we talked before that 2, 3, and 4 function as a great trilogy.
Great trilogy.
Great.
And they're actually selling it that way
trilogy.
this year.
Yeah.
It's a trilogy you can buy.
And so then we carried on to, like you said, the Next Generation.
Yes.
Which, how many seasons? 6, 7?
7.
7? That's amazing.
Yeah.
For a syndicated show.
Yeah. It was, and everybody was very skeptical of that and whether it was going to work, and it did. I mean, they kept it going.
I'm going to tell you what I saw, and still to this day, when I saw, in comics, the X-Men didn't work.
Yeah.
I'm going to do this real fast. The X-Men did not work for 10 years, and they shut the lights off on the X-Men, and then they relaunched the X-Men with a new iteration of them, new cast, new characters, and the X-Men clicked and became Marvel's #1. When I saw Star Trek: The Next Generation, the cast, and then after watching initial episodes, I said Worf is Wolverine, Picard is Charles Xavier.
Yep, literally.
Riker is Cyclops, even though there's a guy with a visor. That's not Cyclops. Riker, #2, is Cyclops. And then the empath, what's her name?
Troy.
Troy, I'm like, that's Jean Grey. Oh, and they have a romance going, Cyclops and Jean Grey.
That's true.
I literally said, this is the X-Men in outer space. And again, Worf had the temper.
Yeah.
Worf was Wolverine.
Oh, yeah.
The feral, angry guy.
He didn't get like an intelligent personality until he went on Deep Space Nine.
Actually, I think the episode after the Borg, the Klingon War, the Civil War, and when they all turned to this day, what is that, 1989? When all the Klingons turn their back on him, and he's exiled and he has to walk through it. You're like, Worf is in shame.
And you know who wrote that?
Who wrote that?
Ron Moore.
Oh my gosh.
Battlestar Galactica.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's how he
Matt
got
is
his.
dropping dimes.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I did not know that BSG.
This brings out the nerdiest side
no,
of me possible.
but Matt, I actually think Worf and his brother.
They're all nodding yes.
His brother is in that. They introduced his brother in
Kern,
that.
yeah. Mhm.
And I
know.
thought that really. I mean, look, Worf. Also other direct rip of the X-Men.
Yeah.
Is the holodeck.
Oh yeah.
In the X-Men from 1975, they had the Danger Room.
The Danger Room,
which
yeah.
was holographic.
Yeah.
Images that would seem and feel real, that would test their battle prowess. There's one episode that opens with Riker and Worf in the holodeck,
Yes.
and you don't know it's and then they realize it's not a jungle and a swamp.
Right,
It's the holodeck.
right.
But I'm telling you, Matt, I really believe to this day, and of course they're not going to cop to it unless close to death, people tell the truth.
Yeah.
And someone's going to say, I did rip it off. I ripped off the X-Men. But it worked.
That's
X-Men in
interesting.
space.
I've never thought of it that
Well,
way.
then when Picard
Yeah.
was cast as Xavier, I'm like, okay, this is getting weird. Because
Right.
literally my older generation, we would all be like, this is the X-Men in space. Oh, that guy's Professor Xavier now. It is the X-Men.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, look, that chemistry, that
Yeah.
cast really, again, carried the legacy of Star Trek. And then they branched off into
Yeah.
a bunch of feature films.
Yeah.
Nemesis, people may not know this, but that's Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
Giant, megastar.
Yeah.
So that's the last Next Generation.
That
right?
was the last Next Generation movie. In the meantime, we got Deep Space
Which was-
Nine and
which was a good
Voyager
idea.
and Enterprise, and then it sort of seemed like, okay, maybe Star Trek's over for a bit.
a little bit.
And then JJ decides,
Yeah.
let's bring some life back into this thing.
And I'm telling you, I was doing a deal with a producer. He did the Nimoy and the Shatner and
Mm-hmm.
the Next Generation, and he was so bullish.
Yeah.
It was jealousy that the JJ version was going to fail.
Right.
It's like they've spent too much money. It's not going to. That movie's not going to open. They think it's going to open to like 50 million. That's never going to happen. I think it. I mean, it opened to a monster
Yeah,
number.
it was huge.
And I remember JJ sitting down, talking about what a challenge it was for him.
Yeah.
But Matt, that JJ movie
Yeah.
works on every possible level. It is a gorgeous film.
Yep.
It's again lean, mean, no fat on it. It moves. It's got great a great cast.
Yeah.
What makes these all work is the casting.
Yes.
And we already have established how much I love Chris Pine.
Yes.
He's so
It is.
yummy.
It is great casting. It's great storytelling. What is it that you think that why 50 years now in? Why are we still making Trek? Like, what is it that makes it?
We are in love with space travel.
Yeah.
And this is why we're going to visit why I think Star Trek has stubbed its toe.
Okay.
But the Borg.
Yeah.
When they introduced the Borg in this flying cube.
Yeah.
And then these cyborg assimilators and that was new. It
Yeah.
was brand. It was like and remember what's Whoopi Goldberg's bartender's name?
Guinan.
Guinan when she there was always
I
a
love that
mystery
they
with
laugh
her.
every time I have an answer for a nerdy
dude,
Star Trek question.
You are laying down the Star Trek cred right now. You are the Star Trek answer man.
Biggest
Here's
fan.
the deal. Guinan, did they ever clear up her exact origin? Yeah, she's
No,
very
they left it
mysterious.
very mysterious, yeah.
And she knew about time travel and all these
Oh, yeah.
things. Didn't they jump several warps or years to encounter the Borg?
Yeah.
Dimensions. I mean,
Yeah, it was
and then she's like, well, now that they've tagged you, they're going to find you. Remember that was the threat after the first episode, like the Borg.
Yeah.
Now that you've encountered them,
Yeah.
they'll stop at nothing to find you.
Yeah.
And you go, oh, that's scary.
Yeah.
But I think Next Generation hit on, space travel
Yeah.
and going. The Next Generation took it the furthest I think it had been ever.
Yeah.
And it worked.
Some of the iconic characters that even people who aren't fans know. Beam Me Up, Scotty. They know Captain Kirk. They know Captain Picard. They know these names and the reputations that kind of go along with them. And we got great actors out of it. I mean, William Shatner, man, he's still going.
Yeah, no, he's great.
85,
He's
still.
great.
He's
Denny
got some
Crane.
reality show.
Yeah.
Denny Crane, man.
Denny Crane.
Which I just thought was
T.J. Hooker. And when I was a kid, honestly,
genius.
I didn't miss T.J. Hooker. He was an awesome super cop.
Yeah.
For 4 seasons. So it was like Captain Kirk, T.J. Hooker, Denny Crane.
Denny Crane was great.
He's great.
And then of course Patrick Stewart,
Yeah.
X-Men, and just all the great things. And now I love. In fact, we saw today. There's some commercials that Patrick Stewart's been doing for. I think it's for a beer, right, Alex?
Strongbow.
For Strongbow, it's an
Hard cider.
and it is some of the funniest things you've ever seen. You've got to look it up. Definitely go check it out. In fact, maybe we'll insert one here. But they're hilarious, and these people they've infiltrated the pop culture. What's your highest point of Star Trek? Like if you pick one memory,
JJ,
just boom.
JJ,
JJ rebooting
Matt,
it?
and again, again, we saw that IMAX together.
Yep.
Look, I've always rooted for Star Trek, and that's why it's now getting to the point where I'm a little frustrated. But I want Star Trek to be bigger than it is.
Yeah.
The fact is, it does not perform as well as some of these other similar franchises, and you have to sit there and you go, why can't they seem to launch? And the 2009, it felt like this is what the entire franchise has been waiting for. Let me tell you, that movie's smart.
Yeah.
The reason you love it is it's so smart.
Yeah.
How do you put Spock into a movie and
Right.
make it good? It
worked.
was amazing. When Kirk runs into that ice cave, and encounters old Leonard Nimoy, old Spock, and you're like, what's going on? Oh, and then he fills him in on all the story that you don't know and ties it all together, and you're like, this is literally two worlds meeting. And I've read all sorts of fan theories about how that created an echo universe and that's not real. That's for the people who want to shut this new one down.
Right.
But, I think 2009, Wrath of Khan is probably, honestly, it's my number 2. It used to be number 1. 2009 is mine. What's yours?
My number 1 would still be Wrath of Khan. I mean, because I think it defined my childhood in a lot of ways. It's
a great movie.
We watched it over
and a great
over
villain
and over again. And great villain. And I really enjoyed it. But let's jump ahead and talk about Beyond because we haven't really gotten into that on the show yet. I know that you were not as excited about it as I was.
I was entertained, but it seemed to me to be a step back.
Okay.
But
I loved it. To me, it was, and I know you would heartily disagree with this, but I think it was my favorite of the new 3 ones because it combined the fun of what JJ did with some of the get out there and explore that was missing from the first 2. Now the first one was really establishing, and so it made sense to kind of do what they did, and I loved it. I thought it was great.
Okay, I'm going to give you my reason why I disagree with that.
Okay.
Right. What you said, it felt like they got out and they explored. The entire thing with Beyond was they're going beyond. They're going to finally go on the 7-year mission.
Yeah.
It's a 7-year mission.
5-year
right?
mission.
The 5-year mission. And it's a long drive to get to the studio. It's on the 5-year mission. Okay, check this out. And I was like, finally, we're going to go deep into the frontier. My big problem with Beyond is the Federation station they encounter. It's like, oh, here's our safe port. That gave it a safe zone, and what I didn't like is an unnecessary leverage player later in the film because it was literally brought back, used in a leverage way as a weapon or as something to be leveraged, and I'm like, just go. The thing about Next Generation, when they encounter the Borg, you're like, we're out here alone. We are out here alone. There is no, I can dock in the next port, I can pull in and there's a bunch of people having fun. And just so happens Sulu's husband's here as well with the kid. Oh, such a date. We're so out on the frontier that we pulled in our family. Hi, Mom.
Now it did look cool.
It looked great.
It looked great. But no, I agree. I can agree with you on that. What my part was when they're on the planet and they're separated and they're trapped and they're working to get out of it, that felt like an old episode to me. That felt like this is Star Trek doing what it does. I could get what you're saying though, because really they could have made that Earth. And it would have been like, we're going back to protect Earth, but they made it a space station, and it kind of served the same.
I want them go further. There's nothing that the technical wizards at ILM or whatever CGI house is going to imagine. There's nothing that they can't imagine anymore. There was a day that there was limitations, puppets and stuff like that. No, you can literally do anything. So. I felt like they were further out in the frontier in the opening of Into Darkness when those weirdo worshiping people and
that was a great scene.
The Enterprise was under the water. That felt like, where are we?
Right.
But here it's like, hey, we're pulling into port. How you doing, Kirk? Oh, I'm kind of lonely. Oh, sorry about that. We need you to go on a mission. Oh, okay, cool. I'll go on that mission. I'll be right back. It just didn't feel like, to me, go. Push the frontier. Go someplace scary. And can I also say, can you stop destroying the Enterprise? I have, in 50 years, on your special that you watched, did they say, we've destroyed the Enterprise, and the ticker ran out? Oh, we destroyed it this many times, we ran out of...
I was less disappointed that they destroyed it and more disappointed that the new one didn't resemble the refit of the Enterprise A that they did in the original, because that was the coolest looking ship. And it looked almost just like a kind of updated version of the one we already had. But
For those who haven't seen it, Beyond ends with a battle in the space station.
Yes.
They're back in the space.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I thought we were beyond this. Anyway.
I see what you did there.
Look, here, I'm just telling you, I am a huge fan. Matt, I'm very concerned about the franchise. But
I know you are.
I know you're not done looking back with Glee, so let's continue
No,
to look back with Glee.
no. We're good. We're good. I think it's time to look for it. Because why? But why do you think? Because I don't think it's the content of why Beyond failed. Why do you think, or not failed, but it hasn't lived up to what box office wise?
Look, I used to.
Because it's got great reviews.
I ran a publishing company
Yeah.
for 15 years, and we curtailed our spending depending on the sales.
Yeah.
We would. I was very generous to the artists and writers.
Yep.
For me, they will tell you some of the biggest paydays when we could afford to be generous. We were generous.
Yeah.
Then comics went through a lean period, and we had to scale back. Bottom line is everything has to be budgeted and modeled out, and I just do not see these Star Trek films. This latest one is struggling to break even.
Right.
And these studios, I mean, like Paramount right now is I mean, this matters.
Yeah.
There are parties that are talking about selling off the studio, selling off a piece of Paramount. I mean, like, these studios can't just continue to spend without getting a return.
Right.
And that's why you go, you need to be successful in order to continue to put movies on the screen that I want to see.
But here's the bummer of it for me is that I don't think it was the content that did it this time. I think it was the marketing. They didn't do anything until May. I mean, they showed a trailer in December and then radio silence. And you see Suicide Squad or these other movies that like aren't as good, but the marketing was, I mean, it was a marketing beast for like 6 months straight.
Absolutely.
And I mean, when we started the show back in May, you said, I'm scared for Beyond because we haven't heard anything about it. And it was just then they were starting to put some stuff out. And I think it made people think, whatever, it's last minute, you go see our movie. And regardless, it's now we're in a bad place with it.
Well, so we're in a bad place and we're in a positive place. The bad place is that they did, before the movie's released, they said, oh, by the way, we're doing a fourth one. And let me tell you something. I'll be honest. I am on the edge of my seat. I've seen 2009 Star Trek about 40 times. And every time when Chris Helmsworth, who is making his American debut as an actor, is the captain of the ship and sends his wife off, who's having Kirk, and all that stuff's happening, and he sacrifices his life. You're like, I love him. I'll follow him anywhere. Marvel clearly loved him too because they said, hi, would you like to be Thor for the next 20 years? And I mean, so the thing is, when they said, we're going to team them up, we're going to have, it's going to be a time travel. Star Trek does time travel better than most. I would say it's a genre they thrive at. So we're going to team up Captain Kirk with his dad? You better give me that movie now. You told me you're going to give me that movie. That movie, by the way, will not be cheap. So I want to hear that they're going to film that movie. Then I'll be in my safe place.
I mean, like Star Trek 2 was almost like the same kind of thing as Deadpool, where it was like you get a tiny budget and make an awesome, and it kind of made them make an awesome movie. Could JJ do that?
I hope they do.
Or
I don't
Bad
know
Robot.
if they can. I hope they can. I hope they do, because that promise is great. Now the positive place Star Trek film universe is in question.
And I agree with you on
and
that,
I sent
actually.
you several websites that are questioning the same thing. Now Star Trek still has to open in 23 other territories. And hopefully this thing will get across the line and show, yes, you can greenlight that fourth and maybe final chapter. But so then let's talk about where Star Trek seems to have its most successes on TV.
Is on TV.
So talk about the new show.
And we're going back. We talked about it a little bit last week with Star Trek Discovery. Somebody pointed out we forgot to mention
When's that coming out,
when
Matt?
it's coming out,
Yeah.
and that is in January.
Okay.
And so they're apparently in casting right now and trying to figure all that out. They're going to start shooting in October. And I mean, it's Brian Fuller, who knows Star Trek, but who also has a very creative eye.
great.
He does genius things. And so I'm interested to see what he does with this. My thing is this, even if this movie doesn't do what it needs to do, and this iteration of Star Trek dies, I don't think Star Trek will die. I think, after Nemesis, I thought, movies are done. That's not happening ever again.
Tom Hardy, you killed us.
It was so bad, and I wanted it to be good. The trailers for that movie were fantastic, and it was just so. But then JJ comes along and he reinvents it. It might die for a while.
How much time was between that? Do you know?
It was
5 years, 6 years?
2009, 2001, so it was 8 years.
Okay.
Ooh. And Enterprise, I thought that was the end of Star Trek on TV, but now we're back. So, there may be a hiatus, there may be a time off, but I don't see, lasted 50 years, I don't see Star Trek dying.
Matt, we both love Star Trek.
We
That's
do.
the truth.
It is.
And I haven't seen Enterprise. You can tar and feather me. That's fine. Didn't feel like Star Trek. I took a pass.
Yeah.
And like you said, that was a period where Star Trek was not in the best place. Here's my problem with this. Say it again. Star Trek Discovery.
Discovery, yeah.
Discovery is they're going to charge me for it.
Yeah, I know.
And
and make you watch commercials.
You need to give it to me for free. And I think this whole using, see, that's what I don't like. They're leveraging a giant property that they know has people like us who love it, and say we're gonna use this to launch our streaming service.
Yeah.
Because we need eyeballs and we need
And you
credit
know what?
cards.
The rest of the world is getting it through Netflix.
Oh, come on.
I know. So
You know what? We need to move there for 3 months and video it.
Nerdy Pop's going to Canada.
Nerdy Pop cheats the system. Nerdy Pop discovers a loophole for Discovery.
There it
No,
is.
look, I hope they need to start rolling visuals out.
Yes.
I mean, look, I saw today they had some illustrations
Yes.
from Discovery that I guess were shown at Comic-Con that
Yeah.
they're now breaking online. And give us some art.
Yeah.
Tease us.
Yeah.
I love the franchise so much. That's why I get worried for it.
Right.
Look, I love Jayla from the new movie.
Yeah.
I want her to live to see another franchise.
Did you, by the way, did you hear how they named her?
No.
This was great. When they were writing the movie, they kept saying, "We want to write her like Jennifer Lawrence in Winter's Bone."
No.
Yes, and so
Oh my gosh, that
so
is
then they
awesome.
just said like the J-Law character, and they're just I'll just call her J-Law.
I'm so glad I didn't.
It's true.
I'm so glad I didn't call in sick for this episode. I have learned so much.
I
Matt,
try.
you're
I do what I
killing
can.
it. So is that on that 50th episode, anniversary? Is
No, that was just an article I read
man,
with some
that's
of the
good.
writers.
I did not
with
know.
Scott-
Jennifer Lawrence.
Simon Pegg
wow,
was saying that. Yeah.
That is great.
Yeah.
Look, the other thing is this cast is great. I go to these. I don't go to the Star Trek cons.
Yeah.
I watch them online.
Sure.
I follow all the, and I mean they tarred and feathered Into Darkness. And here is maybe the moral of the story is maybe you don't. Maybe Into Darkness comes out. You don't like it. Maybe you don't beat the tribal drums,
Right.
and you sacrifice a lamb in your hatred of the movie, and put the stinky smell out there
Right.
that this version sucks. Because then maybe people go, I heard Star Trek sucks. You want to see the new Beyond? No, I heard it sucked. It
And
carries.
I agree with you on that because there are things in Into Darkness that I will nitpick, but overall
it got voted,
I
Matt.
enjoyed it.
You are on record as saying Nemesis is the worst.
Yeah.
I can find worse, but they're all at the bottom of that trash can. None of
Actually,
them.
I'd say Star Trek V is worse than Nemesis. but
That's
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
Star Trek V is worse,
Yeah.
and Nemesis is bad. And there's a couple. There's another. I think Generations is terrible.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
also in the trash. And that's not. They're not better than Into Darkness, but
Right.
the tribal drums
I know,
were drumming. Into Darkness was voted the worst Star Trek movie ever. Come
know,
on.
I know.
Like maybe you're getting what you.
I think it's just because they mess with Khan
Bad
and
karma.
people love that. But I yeah, I agree.
Wait
actually.
till Marvel has to start recasting all these roles
Oh.
and make a new Iron Man, a new Captain America. That's when I'm moving to some other country because that'll be unbearable. By that time, we won't type. The internet will be in our head, and it'll,
Think
we'll all
my
be
tweets.
projecting holographic thoughts. Screw you! No, screw you! No, hashtag screw you! And it'll be horrible. The world is coming to an end. But
Nice.
anyway, Matt, we love Star Trek.
We do.
And these are some great Star Trek. Star Trek has had a great history in comics. IDW right now has the license for Star Trek and have teamed him up with Green Lantern.
Yep.
They've done a great. If I'm going to give you a recommendation, it's not going to be a film or a TV show. Buy Star Trek Planet of the Apes. It is a fantastic miniseries that came out this last year that has them visiting Charlton Heston's
Really?
Planet of the
I
Apes.
haven't heard of
It
that.
is
That's fantastic.
You go, my two favorite sci-fi. It's a Hershey. No, it's a peanut butter cup of sci-fi. It's chocolate and peanut butter. It's chocolate and peanut butter. I'm doing that.
So good. So good.
It's so good. You should check that out.
All right.
It is. The covers are great. The stories are great. It was well marketed. Not like Beyond. Jennifer Lawrence. Okay, I learned something.
There you go.
I love it. I love it.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in for the show this week. We'll be covering more Star Trek stuff throughout the week. Tomorrow we'll have Toy of the Week, and we got some cool stuff for that. And check us out on social media at Nerdy Pop Show.
We're crazy.
We'll see you tomorrow. Bye,
Beat
guys.
me up. Nanu, nanu.
I should know.
No, Matt, you're great. You're great.